This morning, the title of the sermon was supposed to be Not of This World, and we were going to finish up under Strained Worship, but God has been working on me, and I was not bright enough to hear him at 6 o'clock this morning when he was trying to redirect me then. Could not understand why I was having so much trouble typing, and the rest of the stuff that usually just comes so easy to me in the morning on Sundays, usually when I'm putting the final touches on things and putting the PowerPoints together and all the rest of it. But I'm getting it. And I'm finally smart enough. God has put a burden on me this week. It isn't the way it always happens. You never expect it to happen, but something happens and it kind of throws you off kilter for the whole week or a month or however long it is. Having the time of my life a week ago. Just absolutely having a blast. And if you don't believe me, ask Johnny or Lawrence. They were there watching me play football and had not had this much fun in years as far as a physical activity. Because there's nothing for me that compares to football. First play, second half, we're on defense. We kicked off, and I'm in on defense. Running back gets the ball, comes up the middle. I reach out, and I get my hand on the ball, and I'm starting to pull the ball, and all of a sudden I feel pressure from the left side, and the ball pops out. And I hear the running back go, "Oh, no!" And I thought it was because he got hurt or something on that hit. And we all go down in a pile, and I look up, and there's a scramble over here, and that can only mean one thing, that the ball's on the ground. And sure enough, we caused the fumble, and we recovered the fumble and go down and score what was to be the final touchdown of the game, which gave us a 9-point lead and secured the victory. But on that play, I fractured a few ribs. Did not know it at the time. Said, "Ow." That was fun. Sat out for the offensive series, came back in, finished the game. Did not realize that I had actually done damage to myself. Fast forward 6 days. Well, actually, not even that many days, but Alyssa was there. I said, "Hey, can you guys kind of follow me home? Because I feel my wheel wobbling, and I can get out and move my front tire back and forth a little bit. That's not supposed to happen that way." And so I called up my dad when I got home, said, "Hey, what are you doing tomorrow? I need your mechanical expertise," because he used to be a master mechanic. So he's my go-to guy whenever I have a car problem. I said, "I got a problem with my front driver's side wheel. It's doing things it's not supposed to do." And he said, "Well, what's it doing?" I said, "Well, I'm driving down the road. My whole steering wheel is going back and forth, and you can feel the car vibrate." He says, "Okay." And I said, "When I get out and I shook the wheel back and forth, I can feel it move and hear it squeak." He said, "Well, it's either one of two things then. You've either got wheel bearings that need to be packed and tightened, or you've got a tie rod end that's bad." I was like, "Oh, please let it be the wheel bearings, because those we can fix on our own. Tie rods are a pain in the tuchus to replace and cost a lot more money." And we got in there and we took the wheel off, and sure enough, the wheel bearings just needed to be repacked with grease and tightened back up. And so it was an easy thing. Except Dad is getting to the point where he physically is not able to do a lot because of his replaced knee and all the rest. And so I was the one that was required to do a lot of the heavy lifting and moving and that kind of stuff. And I was feeling pretty good. Had for a couple of days, to the point where maybe they're not really cracked. Maybe the ribs are just, I just bruised them and maybe strained something. That's all. Because the x-rays came back negative. So that must mean that there's no break or no crack. That's what the x-rays said, that they were negative, that there was no signs of broken, and they weren't poking me in the lungs or anything like that. It's amazing how you can make things sound the way you want them to sound. And so I had convinced myself of this as I'm doing that, and I say, "Hey, I haven't rotated the tires on the truck in a while. Since we've already got it up on jacks, why don't we just rotate the tires?" Which there are 6 lug nuts per wheel. They need to be loosened and then tightened. So you can do the math. 6 times 4, that's 24 lug nuts. So I'm pushing and pulling on a tire iron to get these loosened and picking up wheels and putting them back on and everything. No, I wasn't taking oxycodone then. And we got through it. We did it. Truck drives fine. It's safe. Feels, just like it's supposed to when it's driving down the road. And then Friday night happened, and my ribs started to give me a lecture. And I ran into my doctor. After the fact was over, I went to pick up my medical records so I could turn it into insurance and get reimbursed and all that good stuff. I said, hey, good news on those x-rays, huh? Came back negative. She goes, no. They came back negative as far as they break, but they don't pick up fractures. I could feel the fracture in your ribs. Your ribs are fractured, Mark. Couldn't get this information 3 hours ago, could I? And sure enough, all day yesterday, I'm laid up. I couldn't hardly move. Felt like an old decrepit man moving around, or lack of moving around. I even missed prayer meeting last night because I was so sore. And I got to thinking, this is a perfect time for me to throw the pity party. Why me? Why is this having to happen to me? It's summer. I'm supposed to be enjoying myself. I'm supposed to be working hard and getting all sorts of extra things done, like remodel the church and all this stuff. And I began to think, God, you promised your burden is easy and light. In fact, I'd like to read that to you today. Matthew chapter 11. Jesus began to denounce the towns that he had done so many of his miracles because they hadn't repented of their sins and turned to God. What sorrow awaits you, Chorazin and Bethsaida? For if the miracles I did in you had been done in wicked Tyre and Sidon, their people would have repented of their sins long ago, clothing themselves in burlap, throwing ashes on their heads and showing their remorse. I tell you, Tyre and Sidon will be better off in judgment than you. And you people of Capernaum, will you be honored in heaven? No, you will go down in the place of the dead. For if the miracles I did for you had been done in wicked Sodom, it would still be here today. I tell you, even Sodom will be better off in judgment than you. At this time, Jesus prayed his prayer, O Father, Lord in heaven and earth, thank you for hiding these things from all those who think themselves wise and clever, for revealing them to the childlike. Yes, Father, it pleased you to do it this way. My Father has entrusted everything to me. No one truly knows the Son except for the Father, and no one truly knows the Father except for the Son, and those to whom the Son chooses to reveal him. Then Jesus said, Come to me, all of you who are weary and carry heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you. Let me teach you, because I am humble and gentle at heart. And if you find rest for your souls, for my yoke is easy to bear, and my burden I give you is light. And I've been reflecting on that a lot this week. Well, God, if your burden is so easy to bear, and your yoke is easy, why am I having such a hard time in life right now? Anybody been there with me? If your yoke is so easy, and it's so easy to get through, and able to carry the burdens that you give me, and they're light, why in the world am I having so much trouble? Why is it so hard and difficult in life? And then, like a light bulb going on inside my head, I swear I heard Jesus say, because, doofus, you're not taking on the burden I give you. You're taking on more. You're taking on extra. You're taking on things that I didn't want you to have. He may not have said doofus, but I sure felt like one after I realized what he was saying to me.